looking for my script, which I will pull up in a second to make sure that I read correctly what our right to know script. So let me find that 1 second. And
you're good
okay.
to go, Senator.
All right.
We're
so
open.
Okay, thank you. Great, thanks so much. So welcome everyone. I'm Senator Shannon Chandley from Senate District 11. Today we will be holding a regular meeting of the committee to study unprotected drinking water sources. Now, before we get started, I will read through a checklist to ensure that the meeting that we are holding is in compliance with the state's right to know law. As chair of the committee to study unprotected drinking water sources, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04 and its extensions, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. In accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that, 1, we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possible by video and other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee and selected legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously in this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously watch or listen to the meeting on Zoom or YouTube and via phone by following the directions and links provided on the General Court website. We have provided public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting in the Senate and House calendars. We are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please email remote.state.nh.us or call 603-271-3043. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, it will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call. Finally, let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states his or her presence, please also state where you are and if anyone else is in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. I will call the roll and I will say first, this is Shannon Chandley. I am at home in Amherst and I'm alone in the room. Representative Thomas.
I'm Representative Thomas. I'm in Merrimack in a remote office by myself.
Representative Renzullo.
Representative Andy Renzullo. I'm Hudson. I'm in my home. I'm in my office or at my desk. I'm alone in the room.
And Representative Bushway.
I'm Representative Pat Bushway. I'm in my home in Hampton and I'm in the room alone.
And Representative Panisetti. Did we lose Representative Panisetti? Okay.
I'll resend him an invite right now.
Sure. Okay. All right then. Let us progress, and when he rejoins, I'll ask him to announce his whereabouts and from where he is taking the meeting and with whom he is. So to begin, we held our last meeting a couple of weeks ago and looked at a draft report. We had a lot of discussion during the meeting about issues that we would want to consider if this committee is reauthorized. And that, I think, is the crux of the report draft that you have today, says that one of the things, because of the disruption due to COVID-19, this committee should be reauthorized by the House and Senate and the governor, and we are hoping to continue to do the work that we set out to do. The charge of this committee is outlined in the report, and the work that we have done to this point is recorded. Of course, the minutes for all of the meetings that we held exist, and we have done a good bit of work, but two major parts of our charge we did not attend to, and I think it would be well worth it for this committee to continue and see that that work is done. We had a lot of discussion last week about issues that should be considered, and I think that's really important. I tried to include some of that, not in our recommendations, but in our findings, the kinds of things that we want to note that we have found, and maybe some things we want to continue to look forward to. But I think the bulk of this report should really say, let's continue the work, rather than trying to make too many recommendations on an incomplete schedule. We hadn't finished our work, so I don't want to make too many recommendations until we've completed the body of our work. There are also a lot of other committees and commissions that are looking at some of the issues that we are looking at. And I am grateful to Griffin Roberge for helping me to identify those committees and commissions, because they are doing the same, or not the same, but they are doing related, very good work. And we need to make sure that we're paying attention to it. One of the things that can happen, some folks who have been in the legislature for a while would certainly recognize this, is as committees and commissions do their work and they make excellent reports, sometimes we forget, those of us doing similar work, to read those reports. So thank you very much, Griffin, for helping to include some citations to those other bodies, so that we make sure to know what they're doing, and maybe even sit down and talk with them. Maybe at some point we may want to hold some joint meetings. I did just get a notification from Representative Panicetti. I got a text that he is trying to join, so hopefully he will be on soon. With that, I will open it up to anyone who would like to comment on the report. If you have any changes, this may not, I hope it doesn't take us too long, but I'm happy to discuss further. So would anyone like to make a comment? Representative Thomas.
Yeah, and my internet keeps coming in and out. I don't know, so if you might not hear me completely. The report, I think that the report sort of short shifts us a little bit, because even though what we did was interrupted by COVID, we still got a fair amount of work done, and I don't think it's reflected in the recommendations. I know we talked about a lot of specific things, and I see that you've put some in the findings, but I'm a little confused about why we don't have a more robust recommendation section. I know that the main recommendation is to further the committee, but I would think that reasons why we should further the committee would be important as well. So.
Forgive me, I just changed rooms because I wanted to make sure it wasn't on my end that anybody's connection was unstable. So I walked into a room, hopefully with a little bit better connection.
Oh. I have a question or a concern. Not a concern, sure. Just that as far as the what the committee has done, I mean, really what the committee has gathered, we basically did just gathering of information as I understand it. Now, I did miss the last meeting, but every meeting I was at, we had people testifying in front of us. So it was all input. I don't think we had any real, any dedicated brainstorming discussions that at least that none that I recall as significant. I mean, we talked in amongst ourselves during the meeting and afterward, but not we had a lot of information, but I'm not certain we distilled it down to make much in the way of recommendations other than what we have here. So I agree with the recommendations. I'm not even certain that some of the findings are are that definitive. I mean, the salt concentration in the groundwater is increasing. I would say it may be increasing, because I did not hear any testimony that it was specifically. But then again, like I say, I missed the last meeting, or maybe I just missed it. But again, we haven't really we haven't got into the or drill down in the discussions, at least. So, we haven't distilled the data yet. So at least we heard a lot of information, which I think was valuable, but I want to, so I think with the findings, I think the report is, I think says where we are. And I do agree, we need to, we do need to have a follow-on to this.
Representative Bushway?
Yes, thank you, Senator. I just wanted to add that I think the inclusion of the other organizations, committees, and commissions that are also looking at related issues is important, to the point where we might consider strengthening the wording from could serve as important resources, almost to, suggest, or probably not direct, but encourage coordination. I'm on the Commission on Drinking Water, which is actually the Seacoast Long-Term Drinking Water Commission. And, I know from the work that we've done and the information that we've received, there's valuable interaction there that I think really should be leveraged to make the best use of everybody's time and resources.
Sorry, would you give me your suggestion? How would you change that language to make it stronger?
In terms of the coordination,
Yes.
where it says could serve as important resources, something more along the lines of the committee will coordinate with these other committees and commissions to leverage the work that's being done in those meetings as well.
Okay, so I would say, since it's a recommendation rather than say we'll say the committee should coordinate. And Griffin, were you able to take that down? Okay, so if everyone else is comfortable, that certainly makes sense to me. And Representative Thomas, I wanted to go back to you and see if, and just ask specifically, what would you say is missing from our recommendation? I know that you had a list of things that you thought were important, but I really think they're beyond, they are all important for us to look at, but I don't know that I would have included them as recommendations. So I just
All right.
want to go back and see, check with you.
Yeah. Thank you
Right,
for coming
understand.
back to me. I'm looking through my notes on October 23rd, 2019, when we heard from the Lakes Association. In my notes, I have a list of 5 suggestions that they identified, and I have 2 different colored inks, which indicates that this was discussed to some degree. And then on November 7th, 2019, that's when, and I know that I said these all out loud, the recommendations that I mentioned last time we met. So I know we discussed them to some degree, and they were certainly identified to some degree. You know, I'm not going to hold up the report. I do personally think that it's weak and that we don't have any solid recommendations about areas to look into. But I'm not going to hold it up if that's the case. I agree that we need to go forward and do some more work on this. I just think it could have been more robust. That's all. That's all. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. And I appreciate everything you're saying as far as the recommendation. And of course, the other thing is that while in this committee can make any recommendation for legislation, it's not required of anyone to do that. And nor is anyone prohibited from introducing any legislation. So I'm sure those conversations about potential legislation will continue among any of us who are returning to the House or Senate in the next term. And I'm sorry, it doesn't appear that Representative Panicetti has been able to join us, so that's a shame. I know he has a copy of the report, and I would ask that, Griffin, if you could make the change that Representative Bushway suggested, and I would ask that everybody be sent the most updated copy of the report. And if each of you who is willing to sign on could sign on, we will we'll then present that report. And if that works, I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add.
How would how would we sign on? We would just give an approval and then have someone sign and initial, or would we?
That work?
That's acceptable. Yep.
Okay. All right.
You could take a vote, or you could just let Griffin know that you approve it and authorize him to sign your name and initial.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that would be fine if you can either sign that last page and scan it back as well, I would think. Is that?
I've done that with your signature. If you see on the first page, obviously,
Yeah.
I understand that I might not have access to everybody's signature, but
Yep.
I can indicate on the report that, you know, given that COVID-19 happened, you guys signed off on it virtually, I guess. I can manage it, in short.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I think, yeah, so this isn't something we would normally, as I understand, take a vote on. It's more, you know, each of us agrees with, we sign off on the report. So if that is okay,
Yeah.
we will move forward.
Yeah, I have no, I have no heartburn over anything here. I mean, there's a few questions that I still have, and I think I expressed them around salt and a few others, like a few other statements, but they're, I agree with, we need to get this into next year. So I'm fine with it. I'll go with it.
All right. Thank you very much, Representative Renzullo. Thank you, Representative Bushway, and thank you, Representative Thomas, for your time on this committee, as well as your participation over these past 2 Zoom meetings. It's a challenge, but I think we've all adapted well over the past several months, and we are all ready to continue to work, whether it's through remote meetings or perhaps in person at some point. So if there is nothing, Representative Thomas.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
just want to know, so as far as the next step, so we're going to need legislation to propose this go forward.
Yeah.
For at least another year. Who does that?
So if, depending on who of us is returned, and I'm going to guess with 4 of us seeking reelection, one of us would put forward that
Okay.
bill. And
Okay. All right. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right. If there are no other comments, I am going to I'm going to accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Representative Thomas and seconded by
I will.
Representative Renzullo. And I will call the roll. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Representative Thomas.
Aye.
Representative Renzullo.
Aye.
Representative Bushway.
Aye.
And the chair says aye. So we are adjourned. Thank you very much for your time and effort. I appreciate everyone's comments and participation. And please have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.